it was just this time in life where it was kind of wild like that and electric. It was like electric, So I think that was the first memory. And of course I could keep going because there's always so many more.
My best friend Jen and I recorded this episode in Italy. We were there celebrating our 50th birthdays. I've been thinking about doing my own podcast for a while, testing questions out on different friends, and kept getting a big, fat yes. So when it came to record this very first episode, Jen was the obvious choice. We met in the dorms at Ohio State over 30 years ago and have been on adventures together ever since. So many I've honestly lost count. What I love about this conversation most is what she leaves us with. One of her biggest takeaways from a life of traveling far and wide and living abroad for the last 2 decades. I think it might stay with you too. I'm your host, Erin Preston, and welcome to Meander Muse. What is one of your favorite travel stories to tell people?
Oh, gosh. Well, I have to think because you're right next to me and we've been, there's so many, but the one I have that just popped in my head at that exact minute, it was sometime in Utah. It must have been in our early 20s. And we did the Salt Plains. We were in one of those national parks.
You and I?
You and I.
You and I.
This is the first thing that popped into my head. And this is just like a memory. As soon as you said it, like we have this, like we were walking and there was a lot of there was like a storm. There was like a storm in the air, or maybe it had rained already. Maybe there was like lightning at some point. Even if there wasn't, at one point, our hair was just sticking up. Like it was like electromagnetic field above our heads. And there was just this like hair going all like we were being electrocuted, but we weren't because we really weren't. And I just have this memory as soon as you said that moment of us being like, what the hell is going on? Do you remember that?
Yes. And there wasn't any shelter, right? Like
no.
we were just out there.
But what was going on with the hair?
Yeah, that's why we were scared we were going to be electrocuted, that the lightning was going to... And didn't we run we found one boulder randomly.
It just seems so ridiculous. Oh my gosh. But
that was in Canyon.
That was like for some, okay, was it?
Yeah, we went on the outskirts. We only went in, I think, for one night. And then do you remember? Is this the trip where we ended up putting on our bathing suits because it was so hot to hike out, and we had to scale up the canyon, and it had one of those
cables
that you had to pull?
Yes.
Because we were backpacking, right?
Yeah.
That is hysterical. I totally, and I have my camera, my film camera,
there's
and
a photo of it, isn't there?
It's so funny.
It's funny that I don't know why that came to my mind right when you said that. Like maybe how that represented so much more, like the idea of like we were very open, very free. We were road tripping. It was just this time in life where it was kind of wild like that and electric. It was like electric, So I think that was the first memory. And of course I could keep going because there's always so many more.
Yeah. Is there another, like one of your craziest moments while traveling? What's the first thing that pops in here?
I don't know about crazy, but it's just funny. I had been traveling with you. I was in Chile with you, and then I met Max. But did you meet him too?
Mm-hmm.
For a minute.
In Cusco. I think we all met up, we met him in Cusco.
Yeah, and then him and I...
Didn't you take a small plane?
Yeah, so we took a small plane from Cusco to the jungle in the Amazon. And then it was us and these two other British guys. They were both physiotherapists. And they were these funny guys. And so it was just the four of us. And then this guide, I think he was French, like he was French. And he would walk through the Amazon with no shoes on and just this long hair and like no shirt and just tanned and like was one with nature. And it must have been about a week. We had to do one little segment from at the beginning. We were on the Amazon in a raft and we're going down through the Amazon.
On the Amazon River.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like we were literally like on a raft first before we got onto a boat. Eventually we got onto like a proper boat. It was kind of like a little raft trip at the very beginning.
Made out of natural things?
No. This was like if you were going down like a rapid, but there really weren't any rapids, right? Like it was like very small. And so we're all there, like, kind of excited first day. And then like we literally hit one tiny little rapid and Max just fell out. Like he just fell out of the raft. And we all just looked at each other like, what? What just happened? Like what was going on? And then we were like, okay, well, I guess we should get him back in, but it was just absolutely.
I guess we should save him now.
He was just like, zoop, and like just kind of fell back. And I'm like, what is going on there? Anyway, it was just one of those things when I think about, like, it just gives me the big laughs. What about you? What's
Were there piranhas in that?
Well, we did swim in the Amazon. Well, first off, there were like caimans, the small little crocodile, like creatures were on the banks. So, they were in the water. And there's definitely piranhas as well. There's the one fish that's supposed to like attract to your wee. And so it was always that idea that you cannot wee in the Amazon because that's scary. But it was so hot. You had to jump in anyway and swim, but you just were a little nervous all the time.
You're like, let's go swimming with the crocodiles.
It was crazy and so hot and everything was biting you all the time. Like, I don't know. Did you go to the Amazon when you were? Yeah.
I mean, I went to the Pantanal in Brazil and so traveled through parts of.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, I guess it was about a week. And the thing is also, you couldn't even have any of your skin exposed. Like there were all these little, those little gnatty things that like just bite you. Everything was biting you all the time. So if you weren't on the boat, because we would go from place to place, if you weren't on the boat moving, you were getting bit. If you weren't in the tent, you were getting bit. Another thing about that same trip was at one point we were mostly like in tents. It was a variety, like a tent, and then we had like a little room. And then one time we were in a tent in a barn, and there was a lot of rain because that's what it does. And at this same place we were at, like they were talking about tarantulas and how I learned how nothing to be afraid of because they just eat fruit and whatnot. They're not really going to do anything to you. But we were sleeping in this one barn, and when the guide shined a flashlight above, there were like 20 to 30 tarantulas up there. And
you were like, I love my tent.
Yeah. So that was pretty wild. I think that whole experience, that kind of, because it's so different. And
that was what, like 25 years ago?
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Or more. So Amazon, I don't know, trips could be potentially a little bit different now in comfortability.
Yeah. I guess it would have been.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, 25 years ago. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it was we just rocked up and didn't organize it until we got there and found the thing and off we went. Yeah, it was good. What about you? What comes to your mind?
Well, I have more questions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, goodness.
She's planned. I'm ready.
No, but what's the Amazon like from your perspective? Like, why do you go to the Amazon?
Why would someone go to the Amazon? Well, when you're traveling there, it is something that kind of calls you somehow. It felt like it was like it's an amazing place with so much biodiversity and obviously with you would hear about the rainforest being burnt and all of the elements that are going on there and the protection of it. That was kind of an interesting thing because there was always something happening in the news about the Amazon. And I think for me, just being in this, well, what it was like, I think it was your question, was like super thick, like super dense, loud and quiet at the same. Like there were some parts where we had these howler monkeys. The noise was just like, ooh, like a really, really strong, deep, and it was scary actually a little bit. You're like, what is that?
Yeah, they sound like Godzilla or
Yeah.
something.
So the howler monkeys going, and then you would have these other types.
And they're just small little monkeys. They're not even that big.
No, they're not so, but they're a little bit bigger than there's the other littler ones. And they would like, you'd be walking and they would be up on the canopy more higher, kind of following you almost. Like, and I'm pretty sure, Max would have to verify that, but I'm pretty sure that they threw a couple things at you and, because
they're little tricksters.
yeah, they definitely felt like little tricksters. But yeah, I think just being there with seeing the roots of the trees and all the flora and fauna and just being, and then you were staying with local folks and how they live their life and just being on the river, and it was fascinating. And I know, that's just one little part.
Was there one thing that you saw that just stopped you in your tracks? Or is it more just about the whole environment?
Well, the whole environment, for sure, some like major ant situation going on, humongo, which is a little, you're like, ooh, as you're walking. There was one like place that they took us where it was like a salt lick and these birds would be there. And we learnt, I'm going to say macaws, but I don't know. This is why I need my notes. And they mate for life. So there are these
macaws mate for life.
And we had to crouch down really low and we were kind of across the way and like, just don't disturb them. So you could just watch them together and doing the salt lick thing right there. That was pretty amazing. So we watched that for a while. I guess the monkeys, no, we didn't see any, obviously.
Jaguars?
No.
Dang it.
No, which I'm kind of glad.
Really?
I don't know. I guess it would be, I think it would be a little bit like if you came upon like a
mountain lion. You're like, actually, I did not want to see a mountain lion today.
No, it would have, I guess, if it felt like you weren't impinging on their space, and that would have been okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's just maybe the lighting, like would it be really dark in there, like kind of like it was so thick that it would kind of get kind of darker. And then we did have one opportunity to kind of walk up the structure. You kind of got to be in the canopy, so that was kind of cool because you're in the bottom, the understory, I guess that's called. That's where you spent most of the time, so it was kind of nice to be up there.
Yeah, in the trees.
Oh, yeah.
Or above or around the treetops. Yeah, are there a lot of ruins or is it no? Not at all.
I think everything did. Well, there might be. We didn't see any.
Yeah. Well, and they're still discovering ruins because the Amazon and the jungles
just
and the rainforests buries things, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's interesting. This particular part, and we probably didn't even travel that much. I would have to look back, but like we traveled a small segment of it because it's humongous, right?
Humongous. So, Jen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself so other people know a little bit more, since I feel like I know you pretty well?
Yeah. Okay. So I was born in Ohio, outside of Cincinnati, and lived there my whole life till college, which is where we met at Ohio State. And while I was in university, I went out and lived in Wyoming for a couple summers. That also brought me to that idea of the West. Had met a boy, lived in Santa Cruz for 6 months. I took some time off. Then when I got to California, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like that made sense to me. And so then when I finished university, I wrapped it up and moved to San Francisco and just found myself a nonprofit job, and then I went back to university and got a teaching certificate at San Francisco University, and then after that, moved to Melbourne with Max. We'd met in San Francisco, got married, and then moved to Melbourne. That's where Tallulah was born. And we were there for 7 some years. And then one day just decided to pack up and then do some traveling and ended up in Berlin. And that's where we're at now.
Awesome. You live in Berlin and you're a teacher.
I teach primary. I'm a primary school teacher. And I've been doing that for a long time, since 2005. So, yeah.
So how does one move to Berlin and teach in a school?
Okay. How you become a teacher in Berlin. Well, in Melbourne, I did the same. So you just get your qualification certified through whatever agency it is. And then there's a need for English. Well, Berlin, there's a need for teachers certified to work in a English school because there's several either international or bilingual programs.
Awesome. So when I think about one of the craziest travel stories I have that involves you is when you gave birth to Tallulah.
My God. Yeah.
Like,
that's a travel story, all right.
That is
19 years ago, almost on Sunday.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. That's wild. I don't have children and never will give birth myself. And you had a natural childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to be there in the room,
and the whole process at home, because we pretty much almost had Tallulah at home.
Yeah, and I flew into Melbourne, and then like 3 days later, you started having contractions. Like it was like pretty quick.
I can't remember how long you were there. I remember
very short amount of time.
I remember the day before we were at the pool, and your friend
Zoe
was there. And we were in the pool.
Zoe Walkner.
Yeah, and we were in the pool, and then the next day I started having contractions,
which was also wild to watch. I was like,
God, that's another. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about that was Max and Aaron were playing backgammon. You ordered some Indian food. You did some...
Oh, yeah, we were just chillaxing.
And I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, they do not understand the pain and misery.
Well, when you started throwing up, I was like, we got to go.
I know.
Because it was not a home natural childbirth, because in Australia, they have these wings. Well, why don't you explain to them?
Yeah, so we were doing the birth center. So the birth center is connected to the hospital. So literally you go in, to a birth center, but if there's any kind of situation that happens, then you're right next to the hospital. So that was the plan. And so the morning I went to the doctor, and because I was having contractions, and then they're like, okay, well, go home and stay home as long as you can, because that's what you should do. It could stop the whole process. And so we did some walking. We watched the movie.
Which movie?
It was with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, that film.
Oh, The Eternal Sunshine of the
Spotless Mind, which I just watched we watched this summer.
Such a good film.
This Tallulah this summer. Such a good film. So we watched that.
Such a good film.
And then it really started kicking in, and I felt like I was on an ecstasy trip or something. I was like, what? And I'm like in the bath a little bit. And then I was like, I am tripping out. And then I'm like, I started vomiting, and I was like, and we didn't have a car. And so I'm like, I'm going through transition right now. That means that baby's coming. And because I'd read it in a book.
Well, and I was Max like, you gotta get still like, we're good. I was like, no, I think we got to go now.
Yeah. And I was like, you got to get me there now.
Oh my God.
And then we're in the, remember? Because it was what are those called? Like those rental, it was called like a Miles in Germany.
Oh, it was a car share.
Car share. And then my water's broken car.
Yeah. And remember, I had that hand recorder.
I know. And what did I say?
And I was it was so funny. It was so, I was like, oh, this is what's in the movies when women are like about to give birth and they're like, everyone shut up and drive.
And then I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yes, you did say that. You're like, one, only one, which you stayed
That's
true
true.
to.
That's true.
Well, we got in there and then you had the
Trish.
midwife
Yeah.
come in, and when she was like, okay, ready. And then she was like, because you were starting to get more vocal, obviously, due to the pain. And I just remember her being like, you got to breathe in,
And push
take
it down.
all of that you're, all the vocal, and push down. And then I'm speeding this up just
we were only there for less than an hour.
Yeah,
like
it was a
quick.
short amount of time. And then her head popped out because you were squatting.
Yeah.
And I was just, and she was like, "Meh." And she made a noise and I freaked out. I was like, it's the most, it's something I will never, 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 ever forget.
Yeah, and then and Erin's going, whoa, whoa. And she had these heart glasses on.
And suspenders, I think. And everyone was like, get her out of here. I was like, I'm just bringing so much love. And everyone's like, it's not.
And I was like, why is no one helping me right now? Like, everyone's hanging around there, and I'm like, I'm done with this business. That hurts to get that last little part. And then
she came out, and right away you were like, is it a girl or a boy? And it was a girl, and you were like, thank God.
Hey, boys are okay.
Boys are okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but I think everyone can understand.
Well, I think it was more how I thought that it was a girl. And since I also have two sisters, I've only had, I didn't have brothers, and I'm a school teacher. So I just had this feeling that it was going to be a girl. And I was just curious because we didn't know. And
of
I
course,
liked not knowing, and it was cool to have that as a surprise. But the thing that was so interesting about that is that then I just put my glasses back on. I was like, okay. Like, I felt like, I'm like, that's done.
Yeah, and you just lay, because Max was behind you the whole time. Bed was big enough for you both to lay in it and hold her.
Yeah, afterwards, yeah.
Like, do the skin to skin.
Yeah, but more so I felt like, I was like, okay. Like, that first moments, it changed, out throughout the next couple of days. But I was like, oh yeah, I can see you can just like back off to work. Did my job. And then, like later, it was kind of like not really felt like that. It took some days to recover, but not having, I guess, since it was a natural birth, I didn't have an epidural, so I could feel everything. So I didn't have any, I could just kind of carry on.
That's like those stories you hear sometimes of women.
I know.
Like giving birth in a field.
I know.
Or something,
that's kind of how it felt. And then
they just like, okay.
That's kind of how it felt in that minute, and that right after. But remember, and then they didn't like wash her. Remember how like they just kept all the blood on her head, and we're like, is someone gonna take care of stuff?
Yeah.
And then you were there when you and Zoe were there, actually.
No, that's one. I have it on my phone.
Her first wash.
Well, and also Zoe holding her, and we called it her blood skull cap because it looked like she had a beanie on.
Yeah.
Because they left it on for what, like 12 hours? Like,
I think so.
They want you to have as much contact right away as possible so they don't take the baby.
No, they don't take the baby. They did all the measurements later. Like, they did all that stuff later.
But they put her in the water to bathe her, and you just saw her just be like, like what she had known was water.
I'm back. I'm back in
it's warm.
And she did do that crawl up thing that they talk about. But, like when she was on the belly, like she made her way up to the breast, which was really interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and that I felt like because babies can't see right away, but that her eyes were moving around like, I know you two. It was like.
Yeah, the voices.
Yeah. It was so cool. And to see how a different again, you said, 19 years ago, I think at the time having a birthing center, because it felt very aromatherapy and somewhat cozy, you could like
Like a little.
in the midwife.
Hmm.
And so it didn't feel like a hospital at all.
No, and we were only there for like one night. Like,
And so seeing the different way different healthcare systems work
that's true.
between the United States and Australia and the way they do things
But you
differently.
have to, but we also had to, like, they do have a large population, even then, of women having cesareans, which is fine. They're there for a really good reason. But some of the intervention that happens because I also was there for my friend's birth, Sharon, and it was a completely different situation. Like she was lying in a bed and there was stress around it somehow because the doctors would come in and there would be a shift change because she was at the hospital for a very, very long time. And it was a completely different scenario. So I think obviously every birth is going to be different, but we were hoping for that for a natural birth. At the same time afterwards, I was like, oh, God, that was a bad idea. give me the goddamn epidural. That's what I've told other women since. I'm like, take the epidural.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, it was pretty painful. At the same, whatever, people do what they do, you survive it. But it was definitely like, it wasn't like the next day I was like, that was the best thing I ever did.
I know you were a trooper. That's like a real warrior moment. And now where is Tallulah?
Well, I guess 4 weeks ago, I just dropped her back off in Melbourne for you start uni. So she's back where her little birth land was.
Yeah, so she's back in Australia. You guys have been in Berlin for the last 14 years?
I think so.
One more question, then we'll call it a wrap.
Good.
I was thinking about it on my walk this morning, as you know I do, is what is one thing that travel has really helped you in your like day-to-day life? Something you've learned from the road?
The
Yeah.
first thing that comes to my mind is we don't need much. And happiness does not come from material objects. So I think that's something that from the very beginning, I felt like I was seeking that after I was living in San Francisco and the idea, there were so many different cultures around and what I had grown up with and really seeing what people's lives were like. And there was opportunities throughout the travels to be invited into people's homes and being offered food and part of their family very quickly and without anything in exchange. Everyone has their different stories and lives, and it's a beautiful thing to share and give.
Well, thank you so, so, so much
Well, that's
for
okay.
agreeing to do this.
Wasn't so bad.
See? We're about to go out for a little adventure here on the Ligurian coast of Italy, and stay tuned for more as more adventures, more things learned, more life happens. Ciao.